So to recap what's happened in the last two videos that maybe you've just watched about my first React application, I still have open the codepen.io with the code that was copied and pasted. I still have open the Try It editor from W3 Schools, and I still have the lesson plan that we're following. We have the React Get Started. We went through just a very basic thing. This is a very basic application. All this HTML, we took out some scripts that we don't need because we have embedded them into the page at codepen.io. We then used just the tags that we needed from HTML. We converted some of these scripts into the JavaScript file in our CodePen code. So the JavaScript is in its own window, which is its own file. Then the HTML is on its own window, which is its own file, and everything combines on the right. Now I stopped a little bit too abruptly. However, if you've already done this and you've turned in your assignment, just give me a minute here, go through what we talk about in this video and make some changes to the code in your page, and I'll be able to see it when I get to it. Basically, I wanted to talk a little bit more about what's going on with the lesson. I told you that I would tell you where to skip parts. Setting up a React environment is something we're definitely skipping because we have basically set up a React environment outside of this tutorial, and we're not doing it with nodejs as a professional or a more advanced programmer might do. Instead, we're doing it with CodePen. If we were doing it that way, we would have to open up a localhost window and just basically run a little server in our computer. We're not doing that. We're using a server that's already out there in CodePen. But I did skip this part, which is modify the React application. So how do I change the content? Is a good question. And we don't have directories. We don't have all these other files that they're talking about. But we do have is our HTML index and our JavaScript that's attached to it in our project. In the Try It editor, it's the same thing. It's all going to be in one place. So let's scroll down a little bit here and see what this code says. Well, it basically says the same thing. We haven't made any additional changes. If I scroll down, see how the result is going to be hello world. It's centered and it's bold, and it's no longer a serif font. It's a sans serif. If I go back and check out my first React app, I see that indeed I do have a serif font. It's got the little feet in there. It's to the left as opposed to the sample where they have it to the right. I've opened up my CSS middle folder here. I'll give myself a little bit more space. And since I know that that's an H1 and it's still pulling HTML, although it's inside the JavaScript, I can tell it to change the style of the H1 tag. So I'll say H1 and open up the curly braces and tell it to change the text family to, for now, let's just pick sans. And go to the next line, and that should be font family. Sorry about that. The text align, however, we want that to be colon, and we want that to be in the center. Semicolon. We can then make additional changes, but at least for now, this gets us to the place where they're at, hello world. I think maybe that's a little bit bolder than what we have, not that much bolder, but we'll be playing with the CSS throughout the rest of the tutorials and the rest of the course. So for now, like I said, although this is outside of the second video, please just make sure that you do this part really quick. The file name, hopefully you notice, it doesn't change. The code that I had before is the same one, and that will be the same case for you, so that whenever I get to see it, I'll see the changes without having to save a separate file or turning in a separate assignment. I'll see you in the next set of videos.